Good morning. Today we are flying to Vienna because I saw that the ticket prices were extremely low, and in Vienna I would find the cafe that Tito, Freud, Stalin and Trotsky used to eat at. So I thought, no questions asked, it's time to go. So I booked the flights and that led me here to Warsaw at 6 a.m, getting ready in my friend's bathroom. I managed to also snag the tickets to the Phantom of the Opera Viennese production, and I've heard incredibly good things, and the ticket prices for the Phantom of the Opera were suspiciously low. They actually came out to be 25 euros for quote-unquote limited visibility seats. However, I'll be very honest with you, the visibility was not limited in the slightest. So honestly, it was a very good price, and it was actually cheaper than my local Opera Podlaska. So 10 out of 10, definitely worth it. Quick caveat, when flying on planes, please remember your sunscreen. The UV rays are incredibly strong up there in the clouds, and you don't want to damage your skin. Unfortunately, I did not plan ahead well enough, so my hair is a bit of a mess, so I am going to try and refresh my curls, because yes, I do have wavy I don't even know what is up with my hair. However, it has some sort of texture to it, so I do need to refresh it once in a while so it looks, well, not a mess anymore. It still looks like a mess, but it looks like more of a planned mess. When I was in Cologne in the summer, I bought one of the original Cologne waters, and it's now become one of my favorite scents, so I'm putting that in as well. So it's 5:25 a.m. and I am on my way to the Warsaw East train station to catch the train to the airport. I did my makeup at the airport, however I didn't film it out of respect for other people in the airport bathrooms. They did not consent to be filmed, and it was quite crowded. But I did very basic, rushed makeup, the best I could do at 6 a.m. really, and then I went to have breakfast and read a book at the cafe at the airport until my gate was called. I got there too early and I went through security too fast. Usually security takes ages for me, because they always pull me out and do double checks. However, for some reason today, they let me go through without a hassle, so I literally left way too early. Is my German absolutely horrific? Yes. Did I acquire the correct ticket? Also yes. So I count this as a success. I hoped that the weather will be nice and snowy. However, I was very quickly disappointed. It was not snowy. Did I almost miss the stupid train? Yes. Did I misread the instructions how to get to my couchsurfing host's house? Also yes. Am I on the right train now? Hopefully. I really recommend my method of traveling using the Couchsurfing app, not sponsored, because honestly, not only it saves you a lot of costs when it comes to traveling, which allows you to travel to more places, but it also has the very good side effect of making you meet new people. For example, in Vienna, I couchsurfed with a very lovely psychologist who invited me the same day to a psychologist meetup and museum trip to see in the Leopold Museum the exhibition on occultism and spirituality in the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries. It was a very lovely exhibition. I really enjoyed the art. The guide was extremely knowledgeable and I actually learned a lot in very lovely company. So I can definitely recommend this traveling model. And if you're in Vienna, check out the exhibition because I very much enjoyed it. It had a lot of interesting concepts like paintings of the spirit, paintings of aura, paintings that are meant to portray the sitters in a trance, and the psychedelic imaginings of some of the artists. I definitely recommend. However, it was also very interesting to note how a lot of these artists were later linked to the Nazi movement. In retrospect, looking at some of these art pieces, I'll be very honest with you, it makes sense that these people later became Nazis. There's a lot of Orientalism, a lot of racialized imagery in some cases. I just think we knew. It was a bit of an obvious case. Oh my god, my hair's a mess, but it's fine. Let's go, I guess. I'm so excited. This is the 4th time I'm seeing the Phantom live because I am insane, but this time it's in German, so this is the 3rd language I'm seeing it in as well. And there's the theatre. I know quite a few creators online have filmed excerpts of this production. However, I do not think as a private viewer it is very respectful of me to start filming mid-show. There were also signages around the theatre saying not to film, so I really don't know how these people are filming and posting it online. For whatever reason, the back camera stopped working for apps, and yeah, for some reason I can't restart my phone and battery's draining. So if anyone can tell me why, that'll be great. There is a drunk man shouting how Austria isn't Germany. Validate my ticket. I've got food. Okay, I overslept quite significantly, but today I'm going to attempt the Freud Museum. I think I look cute. I'm going to see if I can get a coffee, get a croissant or something, and head towards there and see if I don't get lost. The manager of the place was like, "You from Poland?" I'm like, "Yes, how did you know?" So apparently, unavoidably Polish now. Oh well. Pumpkin spice latte macchiato with oat milk. Achievement. And now the walk to the Freud Museum is absolutely lovely as well. I could get used to this. It reminds me a little bit of Kingsbury from House Moving Castle, the Ghibli movie. So I'm in. They got me a little sticker. I greatly enjoy having an icon card. I love saving money. This is actually not the first time I've been at a Freud museum. I've been to his home back in London. And I also, fun fact, studied psychology for my undergraduate degree, so I am familiar with Freud. You could say, unfortunately. Their homes in Vienna and London were actually quite similar in the fact that they had large collections of antiquities. We can debate what that means when it comes to Freudian analysis down below. I actually made a quite egregious mistake. I went to walk by the canal and I thought I was at the Danube. I was very quickly informed the next day that I was very wrong. However, I'll also be very honest, when I did see the actual Danube, I was incredibly underwhelmed. The walk by what turned out to be the canal was leading me to the Christmas market at Stephanplatz. I purchased myself some mulled wine – in this commemorative cup, which I later gave to my grandmother. Hallo, eine Subtirole Standardkrapfen, bitte. Mit Karte. These were little donuts that were on a stick and they were interspersed with some sort of fruit. I think it might be some kind of baked apple, but it was very nice. Accidental mukbang companion was Jesus. Here is one thing I didn't eat because it just reminded me a lot of Polish placki. I did, however, get a Baumkuchen, I think it's called, although I've seen it called a trdelnik back in Czech Republic. But it's just a chimney cake. I got mine with almonds. It was very nice. My favorite snack the last few winters has been chestnuts. So every single time I see a chestnut stand, even if I have to overpay for some tourist chestnuts, I get them. Right, so brief pause because my phone was dying, so I had to charge it. So I went to get a melange coffee with oat milk. It's quite nice. And now, weirdly enough, I am off on a date and we're going to the Museum of Applied Arts. Okay, so I heard that the Café Central, which is where Stalin, Trotsky and Tito and Freud used to go to, tends to have a very big queue. So I'm going early morning and hoping to circumvent the queue. Needless to say, I did not circumvent the queue. I feel like everyone else had the same idea. However, I heard the day before it was even worse. So a win is a win. Despite the crowding, the cafe interior was absolutely exquisite. Like it just came out of the 19th century. There was the painting of the Empress Sisi, who I don't really like, but I still appreciate for the Vienna vibes. Looking at the menu, there were quite a few vegetarian options, which I was quite pleased by. Not as much as the meat ones, of course, but still a pretty good selection. I, however, opted for the dish that I was looking at for a few days. And also, of course, the coffee, although full disclosure, I did get 2 coffees because one of them came with apricot liqueur and I thought I kind of had to try it. And then to not just have alcohol for breakfast, I also got a normal coffee and I had the apricot one for dessert. The dish I got was called Kaiserschmarrn, I want to say, and it was kind of like a very fluffy pancake, ripped to pieces while being fried, and it was served with some plum jam, I would like to say. It was actually very nice. I enjoyed it greatly. However, it was extremely filling, so by the end of my meal and when I was walking out, I was extremely full. So it was quite a big portion, to be fair. Which I appreciate because sometimes in these fancy cafes and restaurants you get the smallest portions known to man for the most extortionate prices. But this was a breakfast that genuinely filled me for the rest of the day, and I only ate again in the afternoon/evening when I met up with my date from yesterday for dinner. So the wait time was horrific. I stood there for about an hour, but overall, for the experience, why not? My meal cost 30 euros, more or less, but I did have 2 coffees, so makes sense. Poland Mansion.